"This is not a joke, Your Honor. My client just found out that his wife is married to someone else." The statement boomed through the courtroom like a shockwave. Gasps sounded out through the gallery. A court reporter let her pen fall, and one of the camera operators halted mid-shot, shocked. Even the judge, famous for her composure during the most sordid family court soap operas, raised an eyebrow. The room seemed to drop into ice. Kody Brown didn't budge. His gaze stayed fast on the woman who had been at the very center of his whole world, Robyn Brown. The same woman he formally wed in 2014 after he broke up with Meri. The same woman he had fiercely defended even at the expense of destroying the relationships he shared with his other wives, who now sat tensely in front of him. Robyn sat stiff, pale, and gazing at the floor. The hearing had begun as a custody hearing. Truly Brown, Christine and Kody's daughter. But all of that changed when Christine's lawyer stood up calmly and handed the judge an envelope and asked for leave to present new evidence. His tone was calm, but his words cut through the courtroom. "My client feels that this material specifically calls into question Mr. Brown and Mrs. Robyn Brown's moral and legal credibility." All eyes were on Christine. She sat up straight, poised, impassive, but a flicker in her eyes suggested otherwise. Something potent was brewing. The judge slowly opened the envelope and started reading. Her expression grew tighter with each page. Then, following a lengthy silence, she stared at Robyn. "Mrs. Brown, do you affirm or deny the validity of this document?" Robyn remained silent. Her lawyer leaned in close, muttered something, and she nodded hesitantly. Kody jumped up, shaking perplexed. "What paper? What is going on here?" The judge answered succinctly, "Mr. Brown, this is an authenticated marriage license from Clark County, Nevada. It says your legal wife, Robyn Brown, was married to someone named Jason Hale 6 months ago." Chaos reigned. Reporters ran from the room to report the story. Gasps and whispers hung in the air. One onlooker covered her mouth in shock. Kody's legs almost gave way. He held on to the courtroom railing as if he were flailing in the water. His voice was a whisper. "Robyn, please, tell me it's not real. Say it's a lie." But Robyn remained silent. Her head was down, lips clenched. The silence cried out louder than words ever could. The judge sighed, gazing over her glasses. 15-minute recess. Counsel to chambers. Boom. The courtroom came alive as the gavel boomed. Legal teams congregated. Christine eased back slowly in her chair, a smug smile playing at the corner of her lips. It wasn't exactly happiness, but it was justice. The woman responsible for breaking their family apart had finally been exposed. Outside the courthouse, absolute chaos. The media frenzy erupted. Hashtags trending all over the internet. Hashtag Robyn exposed. Hashtag Kody heartbreak. Hashtag sister wives scandal. But Kody sat paralyzed inside. He gazed at Robyn as if he didn't recognize her. This was the woman he'd made so many sacrifices for. He provided her with legal immunity, financial security, blind faithfulness, even tolerated public criticism and alienation from the rest of the family, all for her. And she secretly married another GUI. To the fans, Kody Brown had always appeared confident, some could say arrogant, a man who held reins over a complex family situation. Now, though, he appeared broken, beaten, human. At last Robyn raised her gaze. Their eyes locked. In that instant, all the years they had shared went between them, silently. The love, the fights, the kids, the stardom, the charade, all broken beneath the load of her infidelity. They did not say a word. No scream, no apology. Only a crushing, shattering silence. In the back of them, some of their older kids, Aurora, Dayton, remained still, too. The lie hadn't hurt Kody alone. It had destroyed the whole family. Kody slowly slumped into his seat, his face expressionless, yet his eyes gave him away. They seared with heartbreak, rage, shame, and incredulity. The court was in recess, but emotionally, the real trial was about to start. Kody leaned in toward his attorney, never once breaking eye contact with Robyn. "Draw up the divorce papers. I want them, today." His lawyer hesitated for a moment, then nodded. And just like that, the man who had once referred to Robyn as the love of his life was prepared to leave for good. The next morning, the courthouse was an utter pandemonium. Robyn's secret second wedding had gone viral. TMZ was all too eager to share a blurry photo of the Clark County marriage certificate. On Reddit, speculation ran rampant. Secret kids were being bandied about, as well as double lives. Hashtags hashtag Robyn secret, hashtag Jason Hale exposed, and hashtag Kody was devastated went viral. The courtroom had become the global gossip hub. All courtroom seats were taken. Reporters from People, In Touch, even Rolling Stone crowded into the gallery. Law clerks who worked for other departments strolled in under the excuse of bringing paperwork, but lingered, entranced by the show. The Browns were no longer just a broken family. They were the cover story in an actual courtroom soap opera, and right at the center of this spinning mess was one name nobody ever thought to mention: Jason Hale. Jason, Jason, however, wasn't some stranger to the Browns. In fact, he'd been part of the background for years. A certified financial planner, Jason had been hired to assist the family in sorting out their tangled finances between their several houses, TLC checks, and the tax hell that came with polygamy on television. He was professional, soft-spoken, and deliberately avoided the limelight. He wasn't on Sister Wives. He operated behind the scenes, primarily with Robyn, assisting in the operations of My Sister Wife's Closet and providing financial counsel off-camera. But court papers filed by Christine's attorneys uncovered that Jason had been doing so much more than balancing books. The past 2 years saw over 500 personal messages between him and Robyn, many well past midnight. They traveled often together: Las Vegas, Phoenix, Salt Lake City, always for what they called business. But Christine's lawyer said there was a pattern. As the Brown household turmoil increased, so did Robyn's communications with Jason. And then, 6 months ago, in the midst of the family's implosion, Robyn legally married Jason Hale in Nevada. She had employed her maiden name, Robyn Sullivan, on the license. She used a post office box as her address and stated she was temporarily out of state on business. All the particulars had been carefully drawn up, as if rehearsed. In plain sight, concealed, the judge called Robyn to testify. Her lawyer objected on grounds of emotional distress, but the judge was adamant. Mrs. Brown can explain that. She will testify. Robyn had been white with fear. She kept her eyes averted from Kody as she walked to the witness stand. The whole room was leaning forward. Then she did it. "I didn't mean for it to turn out like that," she started, voice already shaking. "But Kody, you didn't see me. You didn't hear me." She took a deep breath, shaky. "I knew it was wrong, Dad. I knew I had broken the law. I had broken our marriage vows. But in my mind, we weren't married anymore. Not really." She looked over at Jason, who sat silently. "Jason saw me. He stood by me. He came to the hospital." Kody's face didn't change, but his fists turned white. "Please, Kody," Robyn went on. "You were mad all the time. At Christine, at Janelle, at the cameras, the children, and you isolated me. You vanished for days. Even when you were around, you weren't present. You were lost in your world, angry, pouting, absent." Her voice broke further. "Jason never took your place, Dad. I didn't orchestrate this. But I didn't stop it either." The courtroom was silent. Even the clicking of typing on court laptops stopped. You could hear people breathe. The judge leaned a bit forward. "Mrs. Brown, are you stating that you entered into a legally valid marriage while still wed to Mr. Brown?" Robyn nodded slowly. "Yes." A gasp went through the room. Kody's attorney stood up at once. "Your Honor, this is bigamy in the state of Arizona. We will be filing charges." Robyn's attorney stood up in return, alleging mental manipulation, emotional abandonment, and Kody's protracted desertion. "We have voluminous records, Your Honor. This wasn't done out of malice." The judge held up her hand to quiet the argument. "That will be determined in this courtroom." She replied calmly. "Proceed." Christine sat silently, arms crossed, expression inscrutable. But deep down, she was convinced. For months, she had suspected something was off. Robyn's late-night calls, her disappearances, the designer clothes, all those alleged business trips. It had all topped off. Jason had filled the emotional void Kody had left. And yet, no one was going to declare Robyn innocent yet. Many, however, whispered the same. Maybe she did what those who had done this before her did. Ran from Kody's emotional government. Kody looked like a man utterly drained. He stared at the floor, hollow and stunned. The controlling, charismatic leader who had previously dominated his home and dominated the television screen now looked like a shell, an abandoned husband, a broken-hearted father, and a fallen public figure. All of the effort Kody had placed in his union with Robyn, the legal separation from Meri, the intra-family conflict with Christine and Janelle, the transplant to Arizona, it had all been for nothing. Jason did not show up to court, but his lawyer did present a written letter. Jason admitted the marriage in it and asserted that he thought that Robyn was already separated legally. Regardless of whether that actually happened or not, the damage had been done. Christine's lawyers then came back with incriminating proof. Joint bank accounts, hotel reservations in other people's names, and even records of a Las Vegas condominium owned by Jason but shared as co-occupant by Robyn. The trail of paper left no one in any doubt. At the end of that court hearing, Kody's lawyers lodged an official divorce and money claim. Robyn was being charged with marital fraud, abuse of assets, and dishonesty. The judge ordered a future hearing specifically to deal with the charges of bigamy. As Robyn descended from the witness stand, she leaned forward and whispered something that no one else could hear. But it didn't matter, because everybody in the room already knew what had occurred. Kody and Robyn's public image, the invincible couple who had survived all the others, had been irreparably shattered at last. By the third day of the hearings, the public had already made up its mind. Tabloids, reaction YouTubers, online communities, even talk shows analyzed each frame of Courtroom video. Sister Wives fans were divided. Some criticized Robyn, some criticized Kody, but one thing they all agreed upon was that the fantasy was gone, and it was time to put it to rest. When Kody walked into the courtroom that morning, he wasn't the man viewers had grown to know. The neatly coiffed, camera-savvy patriarch was gone. His hair was mussed, his face pale. His typical air of confidence in his walk had been exchanged for a leaden, dragging gait. Betrayal clung to him, and it had marked him noticeably as having aged. As the judge started reading through newly received statements, text messages, wire transfers, and a further property in Robyn's name in Las Vegas, Kody kept quiet. Half the hearing elapsed before he uttered a single word. Robyn was seated silently across the room. She didn't make eye contact with Kody at all. Her composure was lost, replaced by a flustered, near-shy version of the woman. Then, the judge confronted the tension head dash on Mr. Brown. She announced, "Do you have any remarks prior to proceeding with the witness testimony?" Kody didn't flinch. He rose, shaking hands, but a resolute voice, unvarnished and seething with restrained anger. "Yes, Your Honor, I do. I want a divorce. Not next week. Not next month today." Gasps swept the courtroom. Even his own attorney seemed shocked. This wasn't in the planned strategy. Waiting, negotiating, asset protection had been what they had talked about. But Kody had just blown all that away. The judge narrowed her eyes. "Mr. Brown, are you confirming I did everything for Robyn?" Kody cut in, snapping that I gave up my wives, my family, my pride for her. I stood up for her when no one else would stand up for her. I adopted her children like they were mine. I fought for her when Christine left. I pleaded with Janelle to show her more kindness, more tolerance. I cut myself off from my own children when they wouldn't treat her with respect. His voice shook with feeling, but he continued. And meanwhile, doing all that, I was creating a future with someone else. The room grew quiet as a storm cloud. You could hear the pressure of each breath. Even Robyn, normally expressionless, was shaken. Her eyes overglossed. Her hands shook in her lap. The silence burned. Kody strode back to his table, rummaged through his folder, and handed a paper straight to the clerk. It was signed. Already notarized, a formal filing for instant divorce. His lawyer grumbled in shock, taken aback by Kody's audacious action, but Kody didn't care. His mind was made up. The judge hesitated, then nodded curtly. "The most important part of this petition will be entered into the record," she said. "Due to the seriousness of this case, I will grant a temporary order of separation, effective immediately." Her decision didn't end there. Kody Brown was awarded temporary sole possession of the Flagstaff estate, the same house he had bought specifically for Robyn and her kids. Robyn was ordered to vacate the property within 48 hours and relocate to a detached guest house once owned by the family business. All of her business dealings with Jason Hale, including online operations, joint financial accounts, and undisclosed ventures, were frozen pending investigation. For the first time in over a decade, Robyn was no longer in control. All eyes in the courtroom were on Kody as he returned to his seat. His chest rose and fell with deep breaths. His gaze was fixed on Robyn, not with sorrow, but with seething justice. He was finished begging, finished defending now. He was demanding justice. Outside the courthouse that afternoon, reporters surrounded the Brown family representatives. Kody did not comment to the media. Without saying a word, he ducked into his black sport utility vehicle and sped away, leaving behind only a short statement read by his lawyer. Mr. Brown has officially initiated divorce proceedings. His top concern now is to regain his home, his dignity, and his peace of mind. He respectfully asks for privacy while this very private matter continues to unfold. Robyn herself, however, was escorted quietly out by her attorney. With dark glasses and a clearly strained face, she eschewed the cameras completely. For years, she had been the unobtrusive power behind Kody, the one he married lawfully, the wife he protected at all costs. Now, she walked out alone, unseen, unheard, and completely undone. On the internet, the storm had erupted. Clips of Kody's dramatic courtroom statement went viral. Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, YouTube, everybody had something to say. He finally woke up. One entry read, "Too little, too late. Robyn had this coming. This is the real Sister Wives finale." Meanwhile, many hundreds of miles to the west in Utah, Christine and Janelle allegedly sat in a subdued video call, not to taunt, not to mock, but to ponder. The man who had emotionally abandoned them for Robyn was now experiencing the very same rejection. In secret courtrooms, Kody's lawyers conferred. "Are you sure you're really sure that you don't want to mediate?" One lawyer asked hesitantly. Kody didn't budge. "She's emotionally buried me for years. I lost it all for her. I'm finished talking. I'm finished waiting. She made her choice, and now I'm making mine." And with that, the team started working. They started putting together an exhaustive list of marital property, business agreements, property deeds, and custody issues. It would take months, if not years, to sort out the tangled mess. But Kody wasn't intimidated. This wasn't about heartbreak anymore. This was all about regaining control. And then there was Robyn, her lawyer instructing her firmly to disappear from the limelight. No interviews, no social media, and no contact at all with Jason Hale. But Robyn was fraying at the edges. Behind closed doors, she allegedly confessed. "I never thought Kody would actually leave. I didn't think he'd yell, cry, and still walk away." She had misjudged him. She had not witnessed how much betrayal could drive one who had already given up everything. With the third session of the court ending, the judge made a number of significant rulings. A complete financial audit was conducted on Kody and Robyn, specifically with reference to assets associated with Jason Hale. A court investigator was appointed to examine the exchanges between Robyn and Jason to confirm if any fraud, deceit, or illegality had been perpetrated. Criminal charges weren't out of the question, but one fact had already been sealed. The Brown family was broken forever. The man who used to rule all the rooms with bravado and assurance hadn't been beaten by his critics or by his ex-wives. He was broken by the one woman he most trusted. And as America saw this courtroom drama play out, a quieter, more profound storm was brewing. One that had been building for years in the background. The children were finally telling their stories. Until now, they had remained mostly silent, raised on camera, influenced by reality TV. They had taken their parents' turbulence in silence. But as the family's disintegration was now laid bare, their silence had finally been shattered, and what they revealed undermined the last pillar of the Brown name. During a closed-door custody hearing, transcripts were leaked showing Aurora and Brianna, Robyn's daughters from her first marriage, both of whom Kody had adopted years earlier. They were shocked at the scandal. Both girls had been aware of their mother's clandestine marriage to Jason, but they were pulled in a reluctant tug-of-war between love and loyalty. "I did not know what to do," Aurora allegedly declared, sobbing during an exclusive mediation. "Mom said not to tell anybody. She said Dad knew already, or that she was going to tell him soon." Brianna reproduced the perplexity. "We didn't think it was serious. We didn't think she'd leave Dad. We didn't think he'd find out like this." The judge quickly appointed a family mediator to assess the emotional toll. After all, these young women had known Kody as their legal father for nearly a decade. Now, they were being dragged into testimony, not just about their mother's betrayal, but the destruction of the only family they'd known. "These aren't some kids," the mediator informed the court. "These are young women caught in a whirlwind they didn't make. And they're desperately trying to be loyal to both sides. But even loyalty has boundaries. And whereas Robyn's daughters were split down the middle, Christine and Janelle's kids, they weren't holding anything back. Some of them took to social media to express their years-long anguish. One of Christine's daughters wrote on Instagram, "He left us to pursue an illusion of loyalty. He received betrayal instead," and an overnight viral tweet from one of Janelle's sons. "He left all of us for Robyn, and now she's the one who walked away for someone else." Karma doesn't miss. The Brown offspring, once silenced to preserve the reputation of the show, were now grown-ups, unfiltered, autonomous, and angry. Some started opening up about their long-standing hurt of feeling emotionally abandoned by Kody. One of Janelle's sons admitted, "I used to wait by the window for him, he never came. Robyn always needed him. Now, she doesn't." These weren't cheap shots. These were painful emotional wounds at last appearing after years of latency. The family was breaking apart. Kody, who had once dreamed of a modern, healthy plural family, now stood alone at the center of its complete dismantling. Christine and Janelle had long since departed, first emotionally, then legally. But now even their children, who had been mostly respectful in public, were turning against him. And it hurt that I've lost my wives. Now I've lost my kids too, Kody allegedly whispered to his lawyer privately. Because I thought Robyn was the only one who had my back. Even Robyn, however, had lost the children. Her own daughters, sympathetic as they were confused and hurt, and reluctant to defend her decisions. The court-appointed family mediator issued a report that quickly sparked public outrage. It had serious reservations, emotional neglect. More than one Brown child confessed that they hadn't talked to Kody in months, some even years leading up to the scandal. Favoritism and alienation. Kody had demonstrated obvious emotional favoritism for Robyn's children, leading to resentment and discord, secrecy and manipulation. Robyn had enlisted the help of her daughters in keeping her secret marriage and relationship with Jason Hale, putting them under emotional duress and blame-broken identity. Most of the children no longer felt they belonged to the same family. Most did not want reconciliation and had no interest in remaking contact, the mediator penned. This family is not merely going through divorce. This is a complete breakdown of connection, trust, and shared identity. These kids were emotionally abandoned, first by family structure, then by silence. Next was Kody's revenge. Whereas previous court sessions involved betrayal, Session 4 was revenge. Kody's lawyers lodged a motion to probe financial deception, alleging Robyn had used family resources to finance her hidden lifestyle with Jason Hale documents included, wire transfers from joint family accounts to personal savings in Robyn's maiden name, and alleged $35,000 business expense, claimed to be for merchandising, which was traced back to a Las Vegas supplier. The same city where Robyn and Jason were spotted on vacation. Two family LLC credit cards maxed out for high-end hotels, spas, and eateries, coinciding with the dates of Robyn's business getaways with Jason, a Las Vegas condo lease in Jason's name, shared with Robyn as a co-tenant and utilities split. If the charges were true, Robyn might be in for more than divorce. There could be civil suits, forfeiture of assets, and even criminal charges, but Robyn's lawyers were quick to deny everything. She had nothing to conceal. These financial decisions were made for business and personal reasons in a time of turmoil in her marriage. But the public wasn't buying. Many felt Robyn was calculated, not emotional. And when her daughters cried on the stand in testimony, things only worsened. Back at Flagstaff, the consequences were severe. Robyn was formally directed to leave the primary family residence and relocated to a guest suite. Her support network dissolved. Her daughters would not talk to her. Kody had the locks changed. The adult children disowned her. Even her store, My Sister Wife's Closet, was stealthily pulled off the internet for maintenance. There were rumors that Kody had been negotiating with TLC to produce a tell-all documentary, finally allowing him to present his account of the mayhem.
Christine?
She just uploaded a smiling photo with her grandchild, captioned, "Peace is finally here." Had the Browns' legacy been put to bed officially, what started as a hopeful journey into plural love had devolved into a public disaster filled with betrayal and dysfunction. The kids, once shown laughing and playing together, now wanted nothing to do with each other. One of Janelle's daughters summed it up in a TikTok post. "We're not sister wives anymore. We're just strangers with the same last name." The courtroom had ceased to be a place of law and had turned into a graveyard for what was left of the Brown family. Following weeks of dramatic testimonies, financial disclosures, and ugly confrontations, the last hearing had finally come. There were no longer secrets to spill. Everything was already public, viral, and scandalous. The damage was done. All that was left was the verdict. Inside, the air was subdued, near solemn compared to the bedlam outside. Reporters, whirring helicopters and media trucks cramming the streets. Kody Brown sat alone at the defendant's table, no wife, no roommate, only his attorney by his side. The man once filled with conviction and charisma seemed empty now, his eyes ahead, inscrutable. Robyn appeared even smaller, sitting next to her lawyer, holding a tissue, her bloodshot, puffy eyes. The judge arrived, scanned the file in silence, and started. This court has considered all evidence, heard all oral arguments, and given due consideration to the testimonies in the case of Brown versus Brown. Then the verdict that would redefine their futures. The court approved a complete legal divorce. Kody's third session filing was accepted. Due to Robyn's confessions and the emotional instability of the case, the waiting period was waived by the judge. Robyn and Jason's Nevada wedding was declared valid in that state, but because Kody and Robyn were still legally wed in Arizona, the court said that her actions technically constituted a violation of state bigamy statutes. Although no criminal sanctions were issued during this hearing, the case was officially referred to the Attorney General for investigation. A monetary audit was ordered. Proof of misdirected funds, shadow accounts, and bogus leasing in pseudonyms compelled the court to ask for a complete financial examination of both Kody and Robyn's holdings, especially those with connections to Jason Hale. All large transactions over the past 5 years would now be subject to forensic scrutiny. The notorious Flagstaff Mansion, a one-time symbol of Kody's love for Robyn, was also discussed. The property was directed to be sold in 90 days, with proceeds divided between them, subject to the outcome of the audit. When it came to custody, all the children in question were now adults. No official decree was given, however, although the court did suggest therapy and continued counseling for Aurora and Brianna, both of whom had obviously been psychologically traumatized by the experience. There were no cheers. No breakdowns. Only a swift breath near the rear of the room when the judge's gavel came down. It was done. The union that had once rewritten the Brown family had officially come apart. Kody rose, wordless. He cast Robyn one glance. They looked at one another for only a second. It wasn't love. It wasn't rage. It was emptiness. The silent acknowledgement that what they'd shared was lost forever. Outside, the press converged. Microphones packed his face. Mr. Brown, is there a comment on the verdict? Are you charging Robyn? Do you regret having selected her as opposed to your other wives? Kody remained silent, but his face said it all. Lined with sorrow, worn down by deceit, weighed down by loss. There was one photograph that captured it perfectly. Kody striding alone into the light, eyes pursed, jaw set, shoulders slumped. That photo would pour onto news websites with headlines such as Kody Brown, alone at last, the end of polygamy's first family, and final verdict. Robyn's secret husband exposed a few days later. Kody did a no-frills interview.
No glamour.
Bare room, simple shirt. Exhausted man, I gave up everything for love. He told us, gaze fixed on the floor. I thought Robyn was my forever. I thought she was faithful. I thought she was at home. He broke his silence, voice raspy. But she was constructing forever with another woman, and perhaps I just did not want to see it or did not care. He looked directly into the camera. I had 4 wives, 18 children, a vision of harmony. Now I have divorce papers and regret in all directions. Robyn's apology was relayed through her attorney. She was concise that I made bad choices. I hurt others. But I listened to my heart when I had nothing left. I never intended to lie that I wanted love. She turned down all interview requests. Her social media accounts disappeared. For the first time in years, she dropped out of public sight. Christine posted a happy photo of herself on a hike in Utah, beaming with her daughter and granddaughter. The caption was, "Closure is peace. Peace is power." Janelle tweeted a post that quickly gained traction. Never trade your entire family for someone who wouldn't trade the same. Neither boasted. They did not need to. The world had already witnessed the truth come into light. The Browns, once perceived as daring trailblazers of contemporary polygamy, were now a national parable. From tidy kitchen bedlam on sister wives to a courtroom collapse that unfolded like a Shakespearean drama, their path had come full circle. Meri was rebuilding in Utah. Janelle, thriving with her kids and rediscovering herself. Christine, happily remarried and radiating peace. Robyn, disgraced and hiding from the spotlight she once chased. And Kody, alone. That undefined Judge Davis's final remark said it all. This isn't a story of villains and saints. It's a story of love, betrayal, and the consequences of not hearing the people who care about you most. As the last papers were signed and the courthouse cleared, the sun set low over Flagstaff. And with it, so did the last of the light on the Brown family as we knew them. A king who once had a kingdom of 4 wives now stood silently, alone.